And hello all my fellow nerds out there, this is Oracle Nerd Richie and welcome to another part of Let's Play Who is the Red Queen? In the last part we fell into Wonderland and met quite a few faces, the rabbit, the White Queen, and the Mad Hatter herself. And we also met the Cheshire Cat last part as well, though they gave us two pieces of strange advice, which is either find the White Queen or go up, up, down, down, left, right, which honestly I'm kind of stuck at. I don't really know which one we should go with. So I was planning I'd save in two slots, and in one slot we find the White Queen, and the other one we go up, up, down, down, left, right. But for this one I'm thinking we should find the White Queen, because she might actually be able to help us, find the Red Queen's parts. As weird as it sounds. Plus, I think she knows more about the Red Queen, and if we took a chance on up, up, down, down, left, right, I feel like we might die. We might die, because we all know that's the Konami cheat code. The Konami cheat code is up, up, down, down, left, right. It's like up, down, up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start, or something like that. Or up, down, down, left, right, BA, start, depending on which mode you're doing. Anyways, let's go and find the White Queen. Remembering that the Cheshire Cat mentioned the White Queen, I decided to give the Queen a second visit. I thought that I could easily replicate the route to her garden, only having recently been there. However, the more I walked, the more apparent it became that I was lost. I passed that tree on the right a handful of times already. I was going in circles, getting nowhere closer to the beautiful garden that's equally its equally pretty owner. I let her aside and chose a bush at random to walk through instead of following a path. My cloak saved me from being scratched by the leaves and branches of the bushes. I came out on the other side to a particularly tall tree and a large bird cage. Oh! Hello! I spotted the White Queen inside the bird cage. Behind her was a limb and a leg. She sat with a distressed expression as she looked up at my looming figure. Hello? We meet again, Alice. I hadn't expected that I would be trapped here again. I'm a little embarrassed that you're seeing me like this. I contemplated just asking for the leg and leaving. No, that would be a terribly foul thing to do, especially to a pretty person like her. Although, in a way, it almost seemed like a good idea to leave a pretty bird locked up in a cage all for oneself. After all, how would you catch her if you let her go free? Is that the Red Queen's right leg? So it would appear. To find the Red Queen, you may have to find her parts as well. Even so, she should be able to help you find your way back home. Sorry, Alice. Don't apologize. The key to my prison is atop the towering tree. Would you help me open this cage, Alice? Yes, of course. Agreeing to the request, I walked over to a tall tree that the White Queen gestured towards. How tall it was, I couldn't say. If I angled my head and squinted, I could see a glimmering of a silver key at a high branch above. I circled the tree from the front and the back the sides left and right. They all looked equally hard to climb. As I pondered how to scale the tree, a little bird approached. It was fat and pink with beady eyes and tiny black beak. I can't do a bird noise, it's not that easy for me. With all the talking animals and not quite animals in Wonderland, I had an inkling that this one might speak as well. Perhaps it spoke French like a French bird. Bonjour? Bonjour! Okay, so it is French. Unfortunately, I knew little French. My practice had grown rusty, so much that my tutors would be ashamed, but I tried to pull at least one more phrase. Où est machete? What is that translate to? Hold on, let me actually. I actually, funny enough, I'm actually a very small percentage of French. I know nothing about the French language. Okay, hold up. Google Translate. Oh my god. Are you serious, Alice? I can't say what it means on YouTube. Oh my god. No, no, okay, look. If you're an adult, if you know French, chances are you know this phrase is wrong. Chirp? I must have said the wrong words as the poor bird began to tremble. Alice, you don't say! If you guys don't know what that means, please. If you're an adult, I implore you to look it up. If you're a kid, do not look it up, okay? Even if you're a kid, you shouldn't be watching this content, okay? I'm an adult. Kids should not be watching my videos. And all. But if you're an adult, or if you at least know French, you know what that means. Parlez-vous anglais? Hold up. Let me actually look at what that means. I'm assuming anglais means English. Yeah, it says, do you speak English? Yeah, do you speak English? Yes, yes. Cats? No cats, please. I don't think that's what she meant by that. What are you doing? What are you doing? Sure. I'm trying to get that key up there. What are you doing, little bird? Sure, just having lots of fun yet every day. Not doing anything in particular. Not doing anything in particular. Now that the Red Queen, I mean, Her Majesty, is missing, Wonderland is so much more peaceful. More wonderful. We can play and frolic all as we want. Chirp, chirp. Auntie Bird got in trouble for breaking Her Majesty's laws, and now there's no more Auntie Bird. Chirp, chirp. I was so sad, so sad. Her Majesty was so scary, so scary. Well, you won't tell on me, right? Chirp. Chirp, chirp. You look like a nice person, Chirp. Much nicer than her. Much nicer than her. Oh, I see. I'll help you with the key, Chirp. Puffing out its little chest, the bird flapped its wings and took off upward into the sky. It flew and flew and flew, but soon enough became tired. Not reaching the key on the tree, the bird faltered and fluttered back down. It dipped its head in disappointment. Sorry, I couldn't do it. Chirp. Kill the bird? Why would I kill the bird? I'm not gonna kill the bird. I'm gonna pet it. I'm gonna pet the bird. Don't worry about it. I rubbed the little bird's head, causing it to peek up at me with its large, round eyes glittering with surprise. After a failed first attempt at the key, I returned to the White Queen's side. She looked fitting in the cage, pretty like a flower preserved forever in glass. Again, I thought that she was beautiful. Really, she was beautiful. That's true, Alice. Even so, I couldn't let her stay trapped, not to mention the Red Queen's leg. I wasn't able to find a way up. Do you have any ideas for what I should do, White Queen? Over there are some mushrooms. If you eat the ones to the left, you will grow. If you eat the ones on the right, you will shrink. I think they will be helpful. Magic mushrooms? I was hesitant to eat mushrooms picked from unknown wilderness, but I felt that I could trust the White Queen. Why I didn't know. Well, this is Wonderland, isn't it? I had forgotten something important. The feeling of forgetting tingled in the back of my mind whenever I saw the White Queen. Finding the mushroom she pointed, I faced a choice. There was a little yellow mushroom with black spots on the stem, and a large purple one with white spots on the stem. Um, I'm pretty sure if we grow, we could reach the key. So and shrinking wouldn't really help. So let's just go with grow. I ate the left mushroom and immediately began to grow. My line of sight rose higher and higher as if I were a bean sprout. Once I stopped growing, I could reach the top of the towering tree if I reached down my arm. Fantastically, my clothes grew with me. I cautiously pinched the silver key and removed it from the tree, holding it lightly so as to not break it with my now giant hands. The key I now had, but the cage I could not open. I was much too big. The magic will wear off. Well, in the meanwhile, would you accompany me to chat, Alice? That may be for the best. I would have to wait till I reverted back to my original size to open the door. Is the invitation for tea sometimes still open? Yes, always. Then shall I ask about what sorts of foods and tea you like to drink to see what I might expect? What's your favorite tea? White tea. I mean, I could have predicted that. Do you prefer black tea still? How did you know? We chatted for a while about tea. At some point, the conversation turned into flowers. Perhaps it was that she felt ambivalently on floral teas. You're welcome to visit my garden any time. I couldn't find the way to the garden today. Perhaps getting lost had been for the better, as I found her in the end. Yes, that happens when I'm not there, but Wonderland should lead you my way if you think of me. At least for you, Alice. I have nowhere to be but the garden. She paused, looking at something in the distance that I could not see. Would you believe me if I told you I could see the future? I looked her in the eyes and ascertained a calm surety? Surety? I don't know what that says. I didn't feel that she would lie, yet I couldn't quite believe her words either. I wondered what I had forgotten, what I was doubting. Rather than answer, I decided to play along. Can you change the future you see? Why do you ask? Otherwise, isn't it lonesome? I don't believe that the future is predestined, but the solitude of such a power would also be the fate of a queen in this world. Her words sounded contradictory. Even for the Red Queen? Especially for the Red Queen. The White Queen spoke of fate as if still trapped by something more than just this bird cage. I couldn't understand. We talked a little longer. I felt a tingling up my arms and began to revert to my usual size. The world warped and finally popped back into its proper place. I trolled around to check that all was well. I did find no issues. I picked up the key that I dropped on the ground at some point and inserted it into the lock of the White Queen's bird cage. With a smooth click, the cage unlocked. I opened the door. The White Queen stumbled out of the bird cage, her legs still wobbly from sitting in the cage for so long, so she let me hold her steady till she rebalanced herself. Thank you. You're welcome. I ought to return to the garden now, but my invitation is always open, Alice. I'll see you later if you're willing. She handed me the Red Queen's leg. Ooh. It was dressed in a black tight and red, the shoe red and tied to the ankle with a ribbon. Freed from the birdcage, the White Queen departed to return to her garden. Having obtained one limb, I searched around for another. Before I knew it, the day passed. I looked toward the sky where the sun had begun to set. Letting out a yawn, I realized I needed a place to sleep for the night. I thought back to the part. I thought back to the parties. Okay, I'm gonna save the slot 1 for this one. I thought back to the parties who had helped me in my adventure to gather Red Queen's dismembered parts. Surely I could find one of them. Ooh, okay, we can find the White Queen, but we already got a part from her, which is the right leg. So I'm thinking we could probably talk to the Hatter? Um, let's go to the Hatter. And you know, I'm gonna make another save just for this choice alone. So let's go to the Hatter. Hatter's tea time? I headed back to the Hatter's place. The moonlight filtered through the trees and lit the table. The tea and cakes were all put away. As before, I found her at the table full of tea stuffs. She nursed a cup of tea and waved at me upon spotting me. Just in time for tea, Alice. From the sky, tea time should have already passed. Perhaps this was more like supper time, so I flashed her a smile without saying anything. I have returned with a limb. Congratulations! I handed her the Red Queen's limb, which began to move upon entering the Hatter's hand. Holding it away from herself, the Hatter seemed to think of what to do with it next. She kicked the dog cage from under the chair, clicking the metal hatch open, and she tossed the limb into it quickly flicked the cage shut again. The Hatter sneered. Sit down. I'd be a poor host if I didn't let you sit. I plumped myself down in the armchair. This was my chair now. I glanced around and found I didn't see the 2 puppets that the Hatter wore on the day earlier, on her hands earlier in the day. Where are your friends? I gestured with my hands. They've gone home for a bit. Marsh lives all the way over in a house with ears. As for whose ears they are, I haven't a clue. Are you hungry for rodent, Alice? No. If you say so, Alice. She poured a cup of tea and slid the tea cup and saucer over to me, nearly spilling it over my lap. Soon after came another plate. On the plate was a steak and vegetables. That sounds like a good dinner. For a brief moment, the Hatter appeared lonely. I should hope this isn't rodent, is it? She winked with a grin. It's something else. The Hatter didn't continue, but glanced over at the Red Queen's flesh. My eyes followed the path of her gaze, not spotting any steak-sized slabs of meat sliced off from the torso. The queen I sought. I let out a sigh. Her eyes were narrowed. Taking a knife and fork, I cut the steak and moved a piece in my mouth. It tastes like beef. It probably is beef. Compliments to the chef. She smiled. Why, thank you. We ate together for a Hatter. Her table manners with forks and knives were impeccable. But each time I thought to compliment them, she went and said something odd again. The Hatter was a mystery to unravel. I don't have a place to stay for the night, so I wanted to ask if you would put up with me for the night. I'd put up with you all the time. What difference does night make? Where I come from, people sleep at night. Sleep? You can sleep underneath the table, or spread a blanket on the ground, or just sleep on the armchair you're sitting in now. Isn't sleep just when you pretend to be dead like everyone else? Is this why you don't sleep? The Hatter had terrible bags under her eyes, as I doubted she slept too much. She could have been sleeping up too little. She frowned, upset. Look at the time. Is it really time to sleep? Napping at tea time will destroy your inner clock, you know. Don't you know? Morning, afternoon, evening, since it's all tea time, it's better not to sleep. I thought you didn't care about time. The Hatter sneered. Time doesn't care about me. Are you perhaps afraid of sleeping? She gave me a somber smile. What do you think, Alice? She poured herself a drink or a bottle into her teacup. I turned to look at the bottle, which was in no way for tea. I couldn't read the jumbled words scroll across the label, so I couldn't help but ask, "Is that actually alcohol?" "Tea." "Isn't it alcohol?" "Tea." She drank her tea. I did mine. The conversation turned to silence. I shouldn't have pushed or upset my dear host. I wanted to pet her head and apologize for she could drink it or sleep as she wanted. As I reached out, the hatter recoiled. There was a frown on her face. She pushed her chair back from the table, taking the chance to move away. Then she dipped underneath the tablecloth and rummaged through her stuff with a rustling noise. When she popped back out, she held a blanket and she tossed my way. Her expression turned even more distraught, but her frown wobbly. "Didn't you want to pretend to be dead right now? Go play dead." Catching it in my arms, I smelled a sweet scent from the soft blanket. The sky was dark. I started to feel sleepy. Hugging the blanket a little tighter, I had to experience a long day after all, so perhaps it was time to go to bed. "Good night, Hatta." I wondered if she was mad, if she would respond, but she did. "Good night, Alice." I leaned back comfortably in the armchair and began to sink, sinking, contrary to my earliest expectations. I didn't keep sinking forever. The moment I looked up at the sky, I found I couldn't fall asleep anymore. I didn't recognize the stars, the constellations that adorned the dark heavens. Tracing their infinite sparkles, I wondered who they stood for. I wanted to understand what was hidden past those mismatched eyes of the Hatter. While counting the stars, I eventually fell asleep. I dreamed of falling. The next day and the day after, I continued my search for the Red Queen's pots. Once again, I was walking down the forest path. I tried to remember just what the Cheshire Cat had said, speaking the pattern of directions aloud to a beat. Up, down, left, right? I felt as if I had missed a few items, but that was all the cat had given. I backtracked to the position where I met the cat and recommended directions. Soon enough, I found myself at a crossroad. I saw no limbs nor heads in sight. Left was labeled right was labeled left. This with wrongly written signboards, I chose at random on where to go next. Every few meters, I found new signboards with its own. Alright, guys, I'm a bit tired. I wake up way too early in the morning for these things. Every few meters, I found myself a new signboard with its own quaintly marked arrow. Whether or not they lead to the right place was another issue. I slowed my pace to read the signs and follow them. Today is a rainy day. I didn't know which genius thought to put a forecast on a wooden sign on the side of the road, but I followed the direction to go right regardless. The sky had not a drop of rain in sight. Warning, cliff ahead. As it happened, neither was there a cliff ahead. Watch out for dragons. I looked for dragons, but the dragons did not arrive. Shameful. At some point, the text on the sign turns to insults. Fool, you don't even know where you are. Stop following these signs. How many of these will you read? I walked and walked. At the end of the final sign in the chain, I reached a clearing in the forest where I spotted the white rabbit talking with a limb. She appeared a little frightened, or perhaps more concerned. Your Majesty's left arm, please. I blinked, then I blinked again, rubbing my eyes. I saw the same image. The white rabbit seemed to just about to prostrate herself to a living, moving arm. The arm, despite being an arm, had taken the higher position. The ground here is dirty. You need to crawl here. Shall I take you back to the palace? Or will you prefer to go to the garden or the courtroom? In fact, do you happen to know where Her Majesty is? The arm smacked the white rabbit. She frowned and brows furrowed. Although I silently observed the arm, the arm noticed me and began to crawl over, one handful of grass at a time. It moved like a snake, like a worm, like a piece of flesh and bone that shouldn't have been able to move. Its writhing and struggling had sent a shiver up my spine. The white rabbit looked scared. I didn't know if I should pick it up or kick it away. I did neither, and it reached my feet. The arm proceeded to climb up my leg, up my cloak, clinging to some sort of dirty parasite, then making its slow way up until it pushed past my building disgust to hold it in my hand instead. The flesh felt cold in my palm. I sensed no heartbeat at the wrist. Alice, Her Majesty's arm seems to have taken a liking to you. If you find Her Majesty, please return the limb to her and tell her that her rabbit did her best. I pray she hasn't met any trouble. A limb coming off isn't an everyday experience. She made quite an understatement. Yes, of course. How did you know this was the Red Queen's arm? The rabbit looked happy and excited expression. I recognize Her Majesty's limbs anywhere. Do you admire her very much? Yes, of course. I respect Her Majesty very much. She united Wonderland. I don't know why I went to a German accent. Okay, sorry. She united Wonderland into the kingdom and kept peace with a watchful gaze on the criminal populace. She's a decisive ruler and holds an agreeable worldview. This should be her divine right to rule Wonderland. I've heard a cat call her mad. A dangerous expression flashed through the white rabbit's eyes for barely a second. Her smile quickly became a frown. The Cheshire cat is a known problem element here. Her expression became increasingly stressed. If Her Majesty is mad, then such madness is in essence brilliance. Although I may not always be fated to be a favored courtier, to be an aid to her is my greatest honor. I cannot be White Rabbit without Her Majesty. Her smile returned. Well, yes, that should be now how I view Her Majesty. I gave the rabbit's impromptu speech a short round of applause, balancing the detached arm in the crook of my elbow. The rabbit became flustered. She must also like you very much. All rulers have and their dissidents and supporters. A certain man once said that a ruler was better feared than loved if she could not be both. Despite all that the white rabbit said, I knew little more about the Red Queen. The Red Queen is the ruler of this land. What's your job, White Rabbit? Yes, she is highest ruler of Wonderland. I deal with a little bit of everything. Administrative matters, legal matters, and the personal matters of important people. Since we've met a few times, I could say that I'm important, couldn't I? That's right, Alice. To my tepid jest, I received a response that made me pause. The white rabbit took out a watch and jumped in surprise upon looking at the time, quickly returning the watch to her pocket. Is it that this time already? I'm afraid I must be off again. If that will be all, thank you, Alice. Hurriedly bowing a few times, she dashed off back to work. After wandering around some more, I returned to the Hatter's place with the second limb in hand. The day came to an end, but the Hatter's clock remained at tea time. She was arguing with her own hand puppets about some sort of song, some rendition of Twinkle Twinkle. The hair on her hand was flung back and forth. I waited out to seeing it as she started laughing by herself halfway through. Apparently, she couldn't sing. Her expression was a bit lonely. Once her shoulders stopped shaking, the Hatter turned to me. She gave me an awkward smile. Alice, you voyeur! Yeah, I see you bought a second one. That one is 1. This one is 2. Good work. The Hatter clapped her wrist half a dozen times. Alice, would you join us for tea again today? Hatters made scones. It has butter. Thank you for the invitation, Dormouse. Another lonely but happy expression briefly flashed on the Hatter's face. Upon my response, Dormouse, she immediately brightened up. If it would make the Hatter happy, I didn't see why not just play along. Arm. Sitting aside her puppet friends, she extended an open palm towards me. I proceeded to commit lèse majesté by tossing the limb over the Hatter's tea table to her. I took a seat in my armchair, seeing her calmly catch it in her arms. At my seat, there was already a cup of tea prepared. With her free hand, the Hatter opened up a dog cage and retrieved the other limb. Do you need any help with that? She winked. I have everything under control. Without another pause, the Hatter stuck the limbs to the Red Queen's torso. The flesh sounded like with a squelch as a muscle, skin, and bone began to knit into place. Still a red line remained where the limbs connected. I took a bite of the scone as the Hatter said it had butter. The Red Queen's inkly body twitched, something squirming under the skin. I spread some clotted cream and jam onto the scone. The perfect blend of sweetness made me wonder where she got the jam. It was very red. I don't trust this. I hope that's just strawberry jam. I hope that's not what I think it is. Ow! The Hatter became disgruntled, frowning. A single arm grabbed the Hatter, smacking it as it squirmed. The Hatter kicked the incomplete Red Queen, rendering the limb hunk of meat paralyzed with shock. The Hatter forced its limbs off. A bit of blood and something else dripped onto the ground. Gripping the writhing limbs in her hands, the Hatter popped open the dog cage at the door with her feet and chucked them in. With a thud into the cage I can roll back. Okay. With a thud into the cage, the arm and leg went. Good scones. Thank you. You mentioned you also had some business with the Red Queen, Hatter, but what is it? Something to do with red. Something to do with flesh. I realized that I didn't quite know. She gave me a wide smile. A personal matter, Alice. I prefer you don't pry. I was the one gathering the pieces, so of course I wanted to know. Then again, the Hatter would just as well put the corpse together herself. A better question was how she obtained the first chunk of meat, but I doubted she would answer. I was curious. After all, not every Hatter keeps a Red Queen's dismembered body at their table, much less treats it like you do. The White Rabbit is searching for Red Queen right now, you see. And the Red Queen is right here. At least part of her was. No one likes the White Rabbit. Why didn't you tell her, Alice? Well, I didn't feel like it. The White Rabbit was boring. I had the feeling that telling her anything about the corpse sitting with us wouldn't help me much. You saved me from the dungeon. You've saved me from the dungeon. In the dark, dank place, that a hat's not enough for the cold. Dungeons here aren't for keeping, but for killing. I see. Let's commit lèse majesté together. Wait, okay, I have to look this up. What does lèse majesté mean? His Majesty. His Majesty. It just translates to the same thing in English. Okay, Lese Majesty meaning the insulting of a monarch or other ruler, or treason. Oh, okay, so it's just treason. Surely the Red Queen will forgive us for piecing her together. I much preferred this Mad Hatter. No, no, Alice. This is much closer to blasphemy. We have no choice but to beg the wrathful God for forgiveness. Don't you know? I couldn't help but think of Osiris, the judge of the dead, cut to pieces by his own brother. Even a god king, rather a god queen, could be chopped up and rendered helpless. The tutors would be proud of me for remembering. Is that so? It'll be good working with you, Hatta. I offered a handshake. Seeing her hesitation, I expected her to reject my outstretched hand, but she instead grabbed my finger with an expression filled with uncertainty. I thought that she would try to pull my finger off, however, she only gripped me weakly and shook it up and down before letting go once more. She was a bit gloomier for the time after. Night fell and another day ended. What did I dream of? I must have forgotten. Only 2 more limbs and a head remained. I continued on my adventure to collect the Red Queen. Oh, God. So that I could finally meet her and find my way back home. Step, step, step. I walked around the upside down world. In between my explorations of Wonderland, I chatted with Hatta and she made a certain inquiry. What do you want to go back? What do you want to go back to at home? What indeed? Alice, what was waiting for you at home? I counted off my fingers. 2 sisters, 2 cats, a large empty home, books, and tutors. With my sisters, Eddie, I don't know how to pronounce that one. I was not particularly close. The older Lorena and the younger Edith. Intelligent Lorena and precocious Edith. They seemed to live their own world apart from Alice. I preferred the cats, a white cat and a black cat. The former was cute, little beauty like the White Queen, the latter a little devil. As for the books, our library seemed endless. We had so many books that I could drown. Maybe a pile had collapsed on me while I was dying, suffocating under the pages so terribly that I fell into Wonderland. The tutors would be so mad. The books were ruined. I winced at the phantom stinging the back of my legs. The poor ruler, I could already see it go red. That was my world, a boring, normal, plain world where animals didn't talk and corpses didn't move, where I hadn't needed to think of much at all. I was Alice, and that place was Alice's place. Once again, I was in the forest in the daytime. I was searching around. I was walking around, searching for clues, where the next limbs or even head could be when I heard the sound of conversation. Oh! It's these 2. I followed the noise and found the oddest pair, a rabbit and a cat. The rabbit seemed upset. On the contrary, the cat was grinning deviously. Ask the Hatter. The rabbit made an indignant smile. Hatter? The Mad Hatter? She's more cuckoo than a bird, a real nuisance. The only silver lining is how now that rats and hare are out of the way, she's become more of a recluse. My ears are still ringing from the time we had to pull peasants off the street to sing for the royal guests. She sneered. The courts have stopped working. The kingdom's falling into anarchy. We've got filth on the ground left and right. Up and down, too. The rabbit became angry. Shut up, you damn cat. Whoa. Oh, okay, I wasn't expecting... Okay, I was expecting like damn and hell, but I didn't expect... You fucking criminal pretending to be a cat. If we weren't so busy, I'd send the guards to chain you up and throw you back into the dungeons where you belong. I mean, that wouldn't really do much to Cheshire Cat. They could just disappear and reappear wherever they want, technically. The cat grinned as she taunted the rabbit. Scary threats from a rabbit. Listen up. Your name is still on the top of the list for execution, cat. Don't think you can do whatever you want. Now I have to go to... Alice! The white rabbit made a puking sound. The blood drained from her face when she met my eyes. She looked terrified. The Cheshire jeered. Hello? Did I interrupt the conversation? No, not at all, Al. Hello, Alice. I hope we weren't too loud. The cat and I were just making some small talk. How have you been? Well enough. And you? Well enough as well. Well. What about me? Well, are you well? It depends. I'm cat. My God, this game is just too good. The cat's punchline met silence. Are you two friends? The rabbit frowned. No. The cat grinned. Yes. Our circles rarely overlap. We only happened to meet and talk today by coincidence. The cat made a mock frown. I'm hurt, Bunny. I thought we were friends. Cheshire Cat, please refrain from giving me unsolicited nicknames. The cat smiled. Bunny, you two seem to get along. No, not really. They didn't seem to get along at all. I just liked how the white rabbit thought that she could lie straight to my face about what they were talking about before. Lie. That was the Queen's courtiers. That was what the Queen's courtiers ought to do. Hilarious! After a short three-way chat, the white rabbit pulled me to the side for a private conversation. I have an invitation for you, Alice. The white rabbit reached into her coat, retrieving an envelope from an inner pocket. She held it out to me. The Duchess has invited you to her endless party. If you're interested in attending, it is and always will be held at her manor. I took the outstretched invitation. When is it? She gave me a smile. On and on, indefinitely. Ever since Her Majesty has gone missing, the Duchess has been holed up in her manor, holding a grand ball all day and night. If I didn't know better, I think that she was celebrating? The rabbit frowned as she looked into the distance. But she wouldn't be so foolish. I see. Thank you for the invitation. Tracing the oddly familiar wax seal on the envelope, I fiddled with the invitation in my hand. I wonder where I had seen it before. The rabbit smiled. I live to serve, Alice. What a relief. A burden has lifted off my shoulders now that this invitation is delivered. If it pleases you to attend, I hope you have an enjoyable time. The Duchess certainly knows how to throw parties. And the nobility of Wonderland how to party. I tucked the invitation away. The rabbit smiled, a distant look in her eyes. Is there anything else? Her attention returned to me. No, that is all. I won't bother you with any further. Please excuse me, Alice, and have a nice day. Bowing her head a few times, she made her way and away and soon was out of sight. And off she goes. The cat's eyes narrowed with a grin. We were talking about something too. That white rabbit, she only cares about the Mad Queen. Her grin became mischievous. I've got a little secret about the Red Queen. Just a bit of gossip. Do you want to hear? Certainly. I was a bit of a stump trying to find the rest of the Red Queen. The first two pieces came along quite easily, as if delivered on a silver platter, but now I had to find some more clues. I waited for the cat to speak again, glancing at her flickering tail. She gestured for me to come closer. When I moved in, she flicked me sharply on the forehead, causing me to recoil in surprise and stumble back. I never said I would say. Try finding me later, Alice. Before I could respond to her provocation, she disappeared into thin air, leaving a grin floating before me for a short moment more. That is, if you can. With a flicker, and the grin too vanished. What did the rabbit call her again, Alice? I ran my fingers through my bangs and sighed. Looking around, I was alone on my search again. Search for Cheshire, check out the party. Ooh, okay. I have no idea what to do. I've been recording for about 47 minutes. Should we search for Cheshire or check the party out? I mean, we just got an invitation to a party. A party does sound pretty nice. But I feel like the Cheshire Cat could help us. Well, you know what? I'm gonna let you guys decide. What do you think we should do? Should we search for Cheshire Cat or check out the party? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to leave a like and share this video with your friends. And be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss a single notification. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.